Our devotion today is from Exodus chapter 13. In this passage, we see God giving the people of Israel some memorials, ways that they can remember how He saved them and what He did for them at this occasion. Before we look at it, remember today to be in prayer for our church family. And today we are praying for Clarence and Doris Lavender. So this passage, I read through it. One of the things that reminds me right off the bat is that, as human beings, we're very forgetful. We really don't always, well, first of all, we don't even take time usually, a lot of the times, to consider the things that God has done for us, the ways that He's saved us, how He's taken care of us, how He's blessed us on an everyday basis. I think we miss so many opportunities just to meditate on those things and tell God, thank you. And yet, sometimes I think even, when we can benefit just from going back and thinking about how God saved us in the first place, how He brought us back into a right relationship with Him. And I think that's where this passage leads me as I read through it. We know in the last chapter, God, He brought that last plague, the death of the firstborn. Pharaoh said he finally relented. He's going to let the Israelites go. God delivered the Israelites, as Pastor Mike talked about yesterday, by the application of the blood. And so in this chapter, before they go, God is giving them these two memorials of how He wants them to remember this salvation, what He's accomplishing for them. Of course, we have the Feast of the Unleavened Bread and the dedication of the firstborn. And where they would consider the firstborn in their family to be redeemed, and they would have this sacrifice of this lamb. And we see that both of these things for them are to be for future generations, to remind them about how the Lord led them out of Egypt quickly and how He was going to provide for them in the wilderness. And of course, looking at that dedication of the firstborn and its callback to that last plague and how God delivered them with the blood. And I think that's the main thing that just comes to my mind is we know that Israel, they're going to be forgetful people. They aren't always going to remember what God has done for them as they go down through generation. They move farther and farther away from the Lord. And part of what it says here is that I'm giving you these things so that you'll remember what I've done, and that the law will never depart from your mouth, that you will remember to live in a way that's pleasing me, because I'm the whole reason that you exist. I redeemed you. You weren't a people. You were in slavery, and I brought you out. I took you, and I'm going to plant you in the promised land. I'm going to give you a future. I'm going to give you a hope. I'm going to give you purpose. I'm going to make you my people. And you're going to be separate from the rest of the world. You're going to be consecrated. And so many of these practices that we see the Israelites have are memorials. They look back at what God had done for them. And unfortunately, there's several of them that just became religious practices for the Israelites. But, as I read through this, it reminds me today, it's okay for us to have memorials in our lives. It's not idols. It's just things in our lives that remind us what God has done for us, how He's been good to us, how He's blessed us, certainly how He saved us for all of eternity. So I want to encourage you today, think about, what are your memorials? Are you taking time to remember what God's done? Because when we do that, just like it did for the Israelites, it reminds us to live a life that is pleasing to God, to seek Him, and just to live in obedience, I guess. But I want to thank you for taking time to listen to this. If God spoke something to you out of this passage, leave us a message on Facebook, on YouTube. God bless you guys. Let's remember to minister to one another. Thank you.